for joining me. Welcome to today's download. And I'm going to share a story today about the power of presence. And truthfully, presence has been the biggest gift in my life. And if you've watched my other videos or spoken to me, I talk a lot about, just breathe and feel. Breathe and feel. And that's been and still is how I approach life. And in feeling, one distinction I want to make is the breath is a gateway for you to feel yourself. It's the who am I or what am I? But it's not a thought, it's a feeling. And your presence, being in your presence, is the most powerful tool you have. It is you. It's your eternal beingness. And feeling that and connecting to that is the best thing that I know. So breathe and feel. So many times, whether it's throughout my day or for long periods of time, I am just in that, we'll call it silence, of feeling my presence. And you could say feeling your existence, the I exist, the I am. It's referred to as spaciousness. The best way I know to describe it for some folks is just when you feel the totality of your awareness. Just everything you can perceive, not from a thought, but from a feeling. And I usually feel that from my heart down deep into my core. Whereas before getting really into the connection with myself or aware of it, and like most people, my energy was up here. My awareness was up here. So as we do this, we're not thinking. And when you're not thinking and when you're feeling your presence and that spaciousness, I'll say you are it. You are experiencing yourself as that. Truly what happens is nothing else exists. Now you are firmly, completely, and fully rooted in your beingness in the now moment. And the past and the future fall away. And even, we'll say time and space disappears because the past and the future doesn't exist when you're really in this presence. And then the reason I say time and space fall away is because other people, other situations, anything that is not in your immediate vicinity is gone. And in that moment, your wisdom, your knowingness is spot on. And you could say too, when you are in that place of being or that way of being or experiencing, your body is super vibrant. It's continuously regenerating. Everything you could ask for. Actually, take it a step further, when you're in that space, because you are firmly, fully right here in your presence, now everything that's been, we'll say, magnetically tethered into your life from duality, good, bad, right, wrong, emotional energies, whether it has to do with anything in your personal life or where you've still been hooked into the mass consciousness, or some people might call it the 3D matrix or whatever. Because all of your energy, all of your consciousness, all of your awareness is here now, all that starts to dissolve on its own. This is the easiest thing ever. Okay, it takes a lot of commitment to get here. It takes a firm, I'm going to call it a discipline to get to this space. But when you do, it is the easiest thing because everything starts to realign for you effortlessly. Okay, so how about a story so we can just put this into perspective on everyday life. So, years ago when I had my big initial realization, it was like, oh, so quiet. I made it, whatever it is, right? But the funny thing was, it was just a breath before integrating parts that were not integratable at that time, emotional aspects from my whole life. And over the years now, I have, just in the last, 5-6 years, I was telling a friend, I've moved 5 or 6 times, had probably 5 or 6 relationships, and I've had over 10 different jobs. And it's not because I was seeking anything. It's actually because from that place of presence and connectedness, I was encouraged to step into this, to step into that. From that space of presence, these knowingnesses, they just come in, or I hear my voice personally quite a lot. It's perceived different by everyone, and by yourself at all different times. So going through all of these integrations, what it sort of looks like is you're in total presence, expandedness, and now there's I'm going to say there's other dimensions, other levels, other layers, however you want to call it, that are still not fully integrated. And so we come to this 0 point, and then it's like, all right, Kathy, you ready for the next quantum leap? Are we going to go further? And I always say, yes, let's go. Show me what it is. And then the next unfoldment or unfoldments come along. And so it's sort of like from this 0 point, you experience things arise, the things that were hidden away, tucked away, pushed away, all the parts and pieces of yourself born of fear, of unworthiness, of really anything, of duality, of separation. The parts that are still perceiving themselves to be separate are coming home to integrate. So through the experiences, those parts are triggered, they're brought forth, they're highlighted. Usually it's felt as trigger would be a common word, a discomfort, a mental or physical discomfort. And then you stay in presence, wave goodbye, rather than trying to fix, analyze. And there are times that, you bring the mind along and you look at it with the mind and what is this? Oh, this is a pattern, whatever. But the key really is going through these experiences and staying in presence over and over and over. And I've shared a lot with folks, my stop, drop, and roll, through each of these quantum leaps, there was never anything more important. You could say my definition of success overall is feeling clear and connected and present within myself. So through each experience, as these things come up, it's like, oh, great. There's more junk in the trunk there that we got to clean out. And staying in that space of interconnectedness, presence, and letting it all dissolve away. Breathe and feel. So yesterday, I'm at the park. Now, I was off for 3 months. I took the summer off again, which of course I'm like, oh, great, here we go, more experience. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be an adventure one way or another. It always is. And it's fun if you get to choose how you perceive everyday life. You can choose if things are a pain in the butt or just a whole bunch of fun. That's up to you. So going through a lot of experiences and travels and different things this summer, stepping away from work allowed for that experience and integrate, breathe and feel. And especially the last week, there's been a lot of physical upgrades, and all summer too within the body. So I went to the park yesterday and I drove an hour to get there. I'm all packed up. I get to the lake and it's like, I just don't want to be here. I felt heavy. I went and sat by the lake for 15 minutes and it's like, you know what? I'm going home. I could try to force myself to have fun. Doesn't that sound great? Or I can just accept the fact that like all I want to do is go home and sit down and breathe and feel and just anchor into myself. So I drove the hour back, no biggie, staying in, that presence means absence of judgment. Everything just is. And, what had still been sort of lingering, I'm going to say, there were some little lingerers still floating around about, I was off all last month or this month, it's still July. And, there's a couple family members I wanted to visit, some family and friends that I haven't gotten back to for weeks because I've been like, this is my priority right here, first and foremost. And it doesn't feel good to try and go do stuff when you're not clear. You feel funky, you feel icky, you feel wobbly, you feel whatever. That's why my success and my commitment, my discipline to myself really is to be in that presence. It's a gift to myself and it's a gift to others because, if we're not feeling good, we're not a lot of fun to be around, right? So I came home and I just decided to anchor into myself, into the now moment, breathe and feel and relax into myself. And it's so funny because the little thoughts that had been, we'll say, floating around in my orbit, it's like I hit that moment, and that moment is priceless, where suddenly you're in the complete and utter eternal now of your breath, where there's not a start and stop. There's not even a difference, a break between the inhale and exhale. It's one continual now moment that you feel and you become part of, almost like you turn into, sometimes I say an amoeba, like plasma, because you feel yourself just melding into the now, into everything. And in that moment, poof, everything just dissolves. All the little thoughts that were kind of yapping around, just poof. And I think we've all had those moments of pristine knowingness, clarity, whatever it is, however you've experienced it. But this, to me, is my access point to that feeling. And it was so beautiful because I had this total moment of knowingness, which I already have this knowingness, but sometimes you feel it through every cell of your physical body and all of your beingness. And it was that knowingness that I need nothing else ever than to be in this place of total connected presence in the now. And in this way of being, of experiencing, there's absolutely nothing that I would need to think about or plan for or do. Because when you stay in this state of being, in every now moment, you know exactly what to do. Whatever you say, whatever you do is going to be the most perfect possible thing that you could be or do or say in that now moment. And of course, there is no right or wrong or no perfect. And you really feel and know that in that moment too, and that nothing needs to be done. So that is the story I wanted to share with you, just how I've sort of incorporated that through all the life changes, all the, when you go through the waves of integrations, or, with the mass consciousness at times, the thoughts are louder than others, or depending where you travel, where you go, you can tell that there's times that call for you to be a little bit more disciplined about anchoring into that presence. And the discipline is we'll call it an act of self-love, clarity, ease, and grace. So thank you for joining me today. Namaste.